Good evening, study partners. Tonight we're going to be studying Perek Vav in Shekalim. Tonight's lesson is dedicated in loving memory of my dear mother, Rivka Bas Harav Reb Shloimeh. May her neshama have an aliyah. We're going to jump right into the Perek here. Shloisha asar shefores, shloisha asar shulchanes, shloisha esrei ishtachavos hayu b'mikdash. Mishnah begins with three things that came in the number of 13. There were 13 collection chests, there were 13 tables, and there were 13 places of prostration in the Beis HaMikdash, 13 places where they would bow down. Shal Beis Rabban Gamliel, Shal Beis Rabbi Chanin Askan HaKoyanim, the household of Rabbi Gamliel and the house of Rabbi Chanina, the Skan Kohen Gadol, had an additional place where they would bow down. And so they had a total of 14 places where they would bow. Where was this last additional place where they would bow? Keneged Dir HaEitzim, and this was opposite the wood chamber. And came because they had a special tradition in their family that somewhere in that opposite that wood chamber was the place where the Aron HaKodesh, the Holy Ark, was buried. There was a story where there was a Kohen who was busy doing his work at the Beis HaMikdash, and he noticed something different in the floor tiles. And so he came and told his friend about it. Before he showed his friend and other people who about this, where exactly he saw that the floor was different, and he died suddenly. So they knew for certain that there was the Aron buried where the man was saying, and Hashem didn't want for them to find it at the time, and so that's why he died prematurely. Where exactly did they bow down? So, Arba Batzafin, 4 in the north, Sholesh b'Mizrach, 3 in the east, Ushtayim b'Mayrav, 2 in the west, Keneged Shleisha Asa Sha'arim, opposite the 13 gates. Now, it's difficult to describe all of this without a map of the Beis HaMikdash. In many of the Mishnayos that you have in Masechtas Midos, and some have it here as well, they have diagrams. I encourage our study partners to get a hold of these pictures and just study these pictures, and you'll have a clear visual of exactly where these gates are. The southern gates were close to the west. Shara Elyon, these were the Shara Elyon, the upper gate. Shara Delek, the kindling gate. Shara B'cheres, the gate of the firstlings. Shara Mayim, the water gate. Lama Nikra Shmoi Shara Mayim. Why was it called Shara Mayim? Because through that gate they would bring in the flask of water that was used on Sukkot to make the water libations, and of course, as we have in Masechta Sukkah, this was done with great fanfare. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, through it, the waters trickle, and they are destined to issue forth from beneath the threshold of the Beis HaMikdash. Now, this is, someone asked last week about if they talk about Mashiach's times, and we said we're going to get to it. And as promised, this is in this Mishnah here. In this Mishnah, this is what we're talking about. It's talking about in Yecheskel and Perek Mem Zayin, Pasuk Aleph and Beis. It talks about this vision of this water that is described here in this Mishnah. Lumasan, Bitsafon, Smuchin L'mayrev. Opposite these, in the southern gates, opposite the southern gates in the north, I should say, close to the west side, Smuchin L'mayrev, you had Shar Yechanya, the gate of Yechanya, Shar Korban, the gate of the offering, Shar Noshim, the women's gate, Shar Asher, the gate of song. Why was it called Yechanya gate? When Yechanya left, went out to exile King Yechanya, so this was due to Nebuchadnezzar. So he went and he bowed there at this gate. He was taking leave, and from this it got the name Yechanya's gate. The Mizrach in the east, Shar Nekoyer, it was the Nekoyer gate. Ushnei Pishpishin Hayulai, and it had two little doors in them. So these were big gates, and within the gate was carved out another small doorway. You see these sometimes by the big gates, by the big garage doors for auto mechanics. I've seen these little doors that instead of opening the whole gate and letting all the cold air in the wintertime, they have these small doors as part of a big gate. One to its right and one to its left. There were two gates in the west that had no name. Again, I encourage our study partners to find a Mishnah or go online somewhere where you have diagrams of the Beis HaMikdash and you can have a clear visual of what we're talking about here. As we mentioned earlier, there were 13 tables in the Beis HaMikdash. So now we're going to go on and explain what exactly the function of these 13 tables were. There were 8 of them in the slaughtering area. And in there they would rinse out the entrails. There were 2 to the west of the ramp. One of marble and one of silver. On the one that was made of marble, they would place the limbs that were prepared for sacrifice. And al shel kesef, and on the silver table, klishares, the service utensils were put on that table. There were 2 tables inside the antechamber near the temple doorway, and echad shel shayish ve'echad shel zav. One was of marble and one was of gold. Al shel shayish noisen lechem haponim mechnisasei, al shel zav b'tziyasei. In an earlier chapter, we spoke about the lechem haponim. This was the showbread, the 12 loaves that were brought in once a week, and so at the end of the week, they would take those. They would take them out. And so the ones that were on deck to go onto the lechem, onto the shulchan, onto the shulchan, not one of these shulchanas. This is the one, the final one that we're going to describe in a moment. So on the way in, they would put it on the marble table, and then on the way out, they would lay it down on the golden. And the reason for this is Shemaylim B'Kodesh, and the reason for this is because in relation to holy things and holy objects, we go up, but we don't go down. So we start off on the marble, and we go to the more precious table on its way out. Yes. And just a moment ago, we described this table. There was one of zahav that was in the inside. And this is the actual shulchan that's described in Parshas Truma, I believe it is. Mishpatim, okay, where we discuss this table and all of the details there. In any case, this is the 13th table that we were talking about. There were 13 collection chests in the Beis HaMikdash. Because of Aleim, Tiklin Chadatin, V'Siklin Atikin. Kinim v'geizli eila, eitzim, ulavayna, zahav, lakfeides, altogether shishol in adava. So let's talk about this here. There was inscribed new shkalim on one of them, old shkalim, nests, and young pigeon burnt offerings. Eitzim, wood, ulavayna, and frankincense. Zav, lakfeides, gold for the utensils. This is for the kalim. So in total, shishol and adava, there were an additional 6 for various donative offerings. Tiklin chadatin, shebekol shana v'shana, tikin mishaloi shokal eshtokad shekel shana haba. The new shkalim was for every year people would bring their shkalim in, and the old one was for somebody who had owed shkalim from previous years that they didn't give their half shekel donations. So all of them would go into this old chest. Kinim, when we say kinim literally means nests. What are we referring to? Heim terim, they refer to turtle doves. The geizli eila and young pigeons, heim b'nei yena, these are referred to the pigeons. These are all chulan eilis. These are all burnt offerings. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, that's what Rabbi Yehuda says. V'chachamim say kinim. When it says kinim, the chest that's kinim, echad chaytas v'echad eila. This is referring to chatas or and an ola. The geizli eila kulan eilis, and the young pigeon burnt offerings was only for eilis. These are offerings that are completely burnt. Mishnah Vav, a person who takes upon himself and he says, Harei alai eitzim, I obligate myself to bring wood logs. Lo yifches mishnei gizrim, he should bring no less than 2 logs. Levayna, if he says, I will bring frankincense, lo yifches mekaymetz, he should not bring less than a handful. Zahav, if he says, I obligate myself to bring zahav, gold, lo yifches midinar zahav, he should not bring less than a gold dinner. Shishol in adava, we mentioned before that there were 6 chests that were for donative donations. So what would they do with these donations? So the Mishnah says, they would purchase burnt offerings. The meat, the flesh, would go on the Mizbeach and be burnt for Hashem. And the skins would be given to the Kohanim of that particular watch. This is the what Yehoda, the Kohen Gadol, explained. He expounded upon. Asham hu, asham la'Hashem. It is an asham. The asham goes to Hashem. Zaklal, kol shuva mishum chet. Anything that comes from as a result of a sin, or mishum ashma, or for a guilt offering, you buy a carbon oila. Habasar, the flesh, Hashem is burnt on the mizbeach for Hashem. So this is what he explains. There are 2 different psukim, and they seem to be contradictory one to the other. But once we understand that the basar, the flesh, goes on the mizbeach for Hashem, and the skins go to the Kohanim, so what happens is that although initially they seem to be contradictory, ultimately they can both stand. Asham la'Hashem, asham la'Kohanim. There's an asham to God, and there's an asham to the Kohanim. Meaning to say, part of the asham goes to Hashem, and part of the asham goes to the skins go to the Kohanim. V'aymer kesef asham, the kesef chatais lo yuva beis Hashem, la'Kohanim yeyu. There's a pasuk that says in Melachim that the money for the asham should not be brought to the house of Hashem. Like you should go to the Kohanim. So, and earlier we said asham la'Hashem, asham la'Hashem. So, which is in Vayikra. So in Vayikra it seems like the whole oil is going for Hashem. In Melachim, it seems that from the pasuk there that the asham is not brought to the Beis Hamikdash, but it's given to the Kohanim. So how do we reconcile these 2 things? So exactly what Yehoda explained. And that is that the flesh goes on the Mizbeach for Hashem, and the skins go to the Kohanim. Thank you so much. Please join us again next week, live in person. We'll be once again at 8:30 p.m. And that will be Perek Zion. Have a very good evening.